This is some crazy shit going on, guys. Crazy shit. It's about to get wild. Wild, wild west to Oklahoma. So, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night if you're about to sleep. Welcome to my channel. You may have known me as the guy pouring wine, and I got famous for it. Yeah, thankfully. For some of you, just click this because you're bored there. Yeah, in quarantine life, right? I understand. And for my friends, I forced you to click on this. You should. You're my friends, right? So before we get started, you've noticed the sound is better now, yeah? Because I bought a new external mic. Yep. I'm really looking forward for my future career. Check this out. Okay, that's 2 burgers, 2 french fries, and Diet Coke, right? Would you like a nugget with that? Cool, right? Today we're gonna talk about the Tiger King. I'm gonna talk about the 3 major players in Tiger King. Well, there's a lot of characters here, a lot of people involved. It's so crazy. But I'm just gonna focus on 3. One is already like, complicated, yeah. So as you can see, I did my research. Took me like around 3 days to fill all the gaps. I've discovered some information that were not placed in the docuseries. Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about them. So if you haven't seen the docuseries yet, get out. This is a major spoiler alert. And if you just want to get spoiled, you're welcome. So first, we're gonna talk about Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic, or his real name is Joseph Allen Maldonado Passage. Yeah, whatever. He was born on March 5, 1963 in Garden City, Kansas. Eventually, he moved to Texas with his family, where he also worked as a police officer and eventually was promoted into a chief in a small department there. As you may have known, no, Joe didn't have a happy childhood. When he was a young child, he was raped by an older boy. That's how you get started with this YouTube video. Aside from that, he was outed by his parents because, he was gay. So I would understand because around that time, people weren't, open to that. And plus, he was living in Kansas. When he was in his early 20s, he was working with his brother. They have their own pet store. And soon after, they had to close it. And Joe had to open a new pet store without his brother, Gallardo. Carole, oh my god, the names, there's so many. While Joe had his own pet store, he was constantly harassed by the police officers, inspectors, and people around him, which had code violations decorating gay pride symbols around his shop. Sadly, his brother died and he had to sell his pet store. Then he bought a 16-acre farm in Oklahoma. So this is where the shit starts, guys. Now, we all know Joe was crazy with guns, as you can see in this series. So in 1999, he had no tigers yet. Well, instead, he had emus. Emus are like a turkey? No, like an ostrich. Bigger than an emu, smaller than an ostrich, I think. So it's a turkich. My point is, it's a bird. So he was accused of animal cruelty. Well, the thing is, he shoots these emus for fun. Crazy, right? So in his defense, the emus were considered as a livestock animal back in Texas, which is pretty weird because he's living now in Oklahoma. So if I own an elephant here in Netherlands, it's legal because it's legal there in Thailand. That's possible, right? So then the grand jury dismissed this. So he was off. So in 2000, he acquired his first 2 tigers who were abandoned and also received horses from donations. Now, Joe didn't have enough funds that time. What he did was he shot the horses and fed it to the tigers. So this is why he's called Joe Exotic. So he officially changed his farm into the Greater Winewood Exotic Animal Park, or the GW Zoo. Joe was crazy, he hungered for fame. He had his own reality show, he had some podcasts, and he was going around town into the malls and doing some side shows. Well, what he does is he would bring baby tigers and, let people hug them, feed them. It's borderline illegal for me. Aside from that, he was an aspiring country singer. We had a lot of music videos. You can see it on YouTube. It had crazy style. I don't know. You have to check it out. The weird thing is, he's not the one singing it. He was just posting it and for fun. He's hungry for fame. He's a fame whore, guys. Well, aside from that, he also went to politics. In 2016, he went up for the presidential elections. And guess what? He came in last. Well, at least he had 962 votes, guys. That's a hefty number for YouTube subscribers. Subscribe now. Well, he didn't stop. In 2018, he also ran for governor. And the weird thing is, he gave out condoms with his face on it and gave it around the people in Oklahoma. He was exotic. For his personal life, well, in the docu-series we've seen him, he had 3 boys in his life. Well, actually, as I research it, he had 5, actually 5. We saw John Finlay, the one with, had no teeth and was constantly half naked to show off his tattoos. And also Travis, unfortunately killed himself during that show, yeah. And also his recent Dylan. As of now, Dylan and Joe are still going strong. Interview from Dylan, he still loves him, even though they had like a really big age gap. Well, that's love, as long as they're happy. Who are we to judge? So that's it for Joe. We're gonna move on to the next player, Doc Antle. Now, Doc Antle, he wasn't featured much. He was first featured in the first few episodes. The focus was all about Carole and Joe after. But I did some little research. He had more information though. So Doc Antle, his real name is Mahamayavi Bhagavan Doc Antle. He got it from his mom because his mom was like into Eastern philosophy, so he had like a Indian name or sort of, I don't know. He was the founder and director of the Institute for Greatly Endangered and Rare Species, aka tigers. That's easier, yeah, tigers, yeah. If you didn't know, Doc Antle was really famous in the Hollywood business. Remember the 2001 MTV Music Awards? Who could forget Britney Spears' performance, I'm a Slave for You, bringing like a python around her shoulders. Of course, that is from Doc Antle, but at the background, there was like a big tiger with a guy in it, and that's Doc Antle. He was doing his thing, guys. He also worked a lot with other Hollywood films, such as Dr. Dolittle. There was a tiger in it. Obviously, that's from him. There were more films he worked with. You can check it out on the internet. It's too many. The list keeps going on. But the creepiest part of Doc Antle is he had cult-like harem. He would only hire girls who are young and beautiful, and most especially virgins. I guess I can't apply for it. I already failed in the virgin part. And then also he would rename the girls to have the sense of ownership. There was an interview from one of the girls. They were forced to have implants and also like plastic surgery to make them more beautiful and more attractive. But the thing is, their living condition was really bad. There were cockroaches, there were rats, the door was broken, the windows were broken. The tigers, they had good living conditions, except for the girls. It's weird. But the biggest controversy was he used euthanasia on the baby tigers. When the baby tigers were no longer in use, he would kill them. People would go to his park, a very nice park actually. Of course, people would, like to cuddle tigers while they're still young. When they grow older, they're a bit dangerous. And Doc Antle has tons of tigers already. It's still a rumor though, not sure, but yeah, that kind of needs like investigation. In the documentary though, Joe Exotic really looked up to Doc Antle because his facility was really amazing, but had a lot of, controversy aside from the baby cubs. In 1989, he was fined by the USDA for abandoning deers and peacocks. USDA means United States Department of Agriculture. Got it. He was fined for mistreating animals, yeah, of course, and also crossbreeding tigers and lions. So he had a lot of ligers, yeah. I don't know if it's natural or not, but it doesn't seem right. He was breeding like giant saber-toothed tigers around his facility. That's for Doc Antle. Now we're gonna move to Carole Baskin. Carole Baskin was, she's complicated, guys. Well, at first, like, Carole Baskin was featured a lot in the Tiger King documentary, so this is gonna be easy. No. I was researching on her. Oh my god. It took me like around 4 pages for her to write on. She was really complicated. So many issues and stuff like that. It's crazy, yeah. Carole Baskin was the CEO of Big Cat Rescue, which was a non-profit sanctuary for animals, which resides in Tampa, Florida. And she's currently married to Howard Baskin. So at the start of the show, we see her as like a conservationist and activist for animals. It gets deeper, actually. Same as Joe, she was like hustling. She had podcasts, YouTube videos, live chats, live videos. These people were ahead of us. Right now we're using like Instagram Live, TikTok, and stuff like that. But this was around like early 2000s. Wow. Aside from that, her husband considered her as the Mother Teresa of cats. Yeah, you can see that in the documentary. For some interviews, she sometimes wear like flower lace around her head. Yeah, since she's the Mother Teresa or like Mother Mary, whatever. These people are weird. Howard and Carole even like wore like a weird costume during their wedding. Howard was wearing like a jaguar skin kind of caveman thing, and Carole was leashing him like a pet or something. I know. I consider them as the epitome of a genuine weird cat people. So everyone's fine, right? So Joe has his own shooting zoo. Doc Antle has this harem-like thingy. Mother Teresa has her own sanctuary. So everyone's fine, right? Everyone's fine. Good. Yeah. Wrong. These people hate each other. Especially Carole and Joe. Baskin and Joe has been firing each other through social media. Like I said, they were the pioneers of this like media feud. But Joe was pretty much extreme. Some of his music videos were like making fun of Carole Baskin, and there was also one time like a live video where there was a mannequin pretending the mannequin was Carole Baskin. He shot the mannequin. And also at some point, Joe used a helicopter to fly over Baskin's so that he could spy on her. These people, they're like big kids. So Carole and Howard have been trying to shut down Joe's zoo to the extent of suing Joe for copyright infringement. Joe, in his defense, tells everyone that Carole is not as clean as she says she is. This goes deeper. For instance, her rescue facility. She earns money through exploiting her animals, like how Joe did. Let people into her facility, petting the animals, taking pictures, and it was not a good environment for the tigers and the animals. Also, her cats were questionable where she got it. It was later revealed she got the cats from breeders, auctions, and some of them were born in the facility, which Baskin has been reprimanding Joe for it. Such a hypocrite, right? Also, critics says that she takes advantages of her workers, especially volunteers and interns. She gets free labor from them actually, and she has like a leveling for them, like a beginner, novice, to make it sound legit. And also Joe pointed out, she did like a bed and breakfast in her past with her cats. This is where tourists go to motels. Carole would bring the cats, wild cats, pet them, and she was really exploiting these animals so much. So Carole explained that was her past and she's trying to make up for it. I don't blame her, like we have our past, we did a lot of crazy stuff. She's just trying to redeem herself, and that's okay. Now this is where the story unfolds. We dwell more on Carole's dark past. It's some crazy shit. While I was researching on Carole's past, especially in Wikipedia, there was like a biography of Carole, and there was another link to Carole's past. This is how messed up she is. First, she was married to Michael Murdoch when she was 17 years old, and she claims that she never did love him. Soon after she became pregnant with her daughter, they had a very toxic relationship. They constantly fight, violent fight. But Murdoch was very abusive to begin with. So in 1980, Murdoch tried to attack Carole. Carole threw a potato. Yeah, you heard it right, a potato. That's in Wikipedia, you should check on it. And she ran barefoot and bumped into her next husband, John Lewis. Both of them were having an affair while they were still married. These people, they have a crazy relationship going on in their lives, yeah. So that's a sign, okay? Check that out. If your boyfriend or girlfriend has this past, double check. Eventually, they separated their spouses and married in 1991. So Don Lewis, he was a very, very rich man, but he was very mindful of his money. In other words, stingy. To the point he buries and hides his money. He has his own thing. Yeah, you can just put it in the bank, but you know. I guess he was a bit paranoid. So Don Lewis was obsessed with animals and Carole was obsessed with cats. So what do you do with that? Make a business. So they started a sanctuary first and converted into the bread and breakfast, which was, Joe pointed out, they usually get the cats from Costa Rica and some other parts in Latin America and bring them back to the United States. So this is where the problem starts with Carole. So Lewis wanted to transfer the sanctuary to Costa Rica, where he had lots of properties there actually, but he had an affair with a young Costa Rican girl, of course. So Don Lewis and Carole were fighting constantly, violently also, to the point Don Lewis received death threats from Carole. I guess she kept throwing potatoes. So Lewis was no longer feeling safe with her anymore. So he accused his lawyer and his accountant slash executive assistant that if he goes missing, Carole has something to do with this. Yeah, it's getting wild, guys. Wild, wild west. You guys should stop throwing potatoes. It makes you cray-cray. Lay off the potatoes, man. So in 1997, well, surprisingly, Don disappears. Police tried to investigate it and they had no leads to it, but a lot of people were like pointing to, oh, it's Carole. And also, Carole was the last person to have seen him. So there was an interview that took place after he disappeared. So she quoted, he wanted a truck because he's going early morning for Miami. And 20 years later, in the docuseries, because he was going early the next day to Costa Rica. Okay, she got the 3 earlies right. But in her first interview, she said, for Miami. The second interview, for Costa Rica. There were so many leads pointing out to Carole, but it was not official. Like there was like an actual evidence that it was really her. There were so many theories actually, like, you know, her husband was in the big septic tank, or he used a meat grinder and grinded her husband and fed it to the tigers. But they were all just theories, no actual evidence. But the family and co-workers really think it was Carole. They were pretty sure. That was the highlight actually of the show. I was thinking this is gonna be like, you know, some fun animal show, or like, you know, how these animals were in this bad condition, but it became into like a murder mystery. The producers were really smart. So let's go back to the feud. So John Exotic still had a lawsuit from, you know, Carole and Howard, and he was losing a lot of money. He had no money left. So this is the start of the downfall of the Tiger King. So during this time, it was really complicated. There were more people coming into Joe's life. I don't want to mention everyone because it's too much. Actually, it's really complicated. But I'm gonna mention Jeff Lowe. He's the big dick in the show actually. Jeff Lowe entered the scene and he had like complicated past also, like where he brings cubs to hotels, explored these animals. He even tried to put tigers in a suitcase so that he could go inside in a hotel. Everyone's crazy in the show, everyone. Yes, yeah, my god. Since Joe was losing money, he partnered up with Jeff Lowe so that he could keep up the zoo. As you can see, Jeff Lowe wanted Joe out of the picture. He plotted something. So Jeff Lowe plotted with Alan Glover, so they had to make a call where Alan Glover was being paid from Joe Exotic to kill Carole Baskin. So they recorded this and used this as an evidence against Joe, then tried to put him in prison. And soon after, the other cases came by and, put a heavy load on Joe. That includes the animal cruelty and abuses. It was also soon found out in his zoo. They were digging up the ground and they found 5 tiger skulls with, bullet holes on their head. This is some fucked up shit. It's getting crazy, guys. So then Joe was put into prison and everyone was happy. Yeah, everyone was happy, right? Well, again, wrong. So after the release of the Tiger King show, everyone went so cases were reopened, which includes Carole Baskin, and zoos and sanctuaries were re-inspected, and which also put Doc Antle into trouble with that. Everyone had mixed reviews on this show, Carole Baskin and Doc Antle didn't like the show. They believed that it portrayed a negative image from them. In the show's defense, they knew that they're gonna be interviewed about these things. And, Joe Exotic really loved it. He is such a fame whore. He loved every moment of the show and received a lot of comments and support from his fans. He already made fans from it. There's a page actually you can check on Facebook. And also there was a new episode from the series, but you don't need to watch it. It's just like a reaction from the other stars, the co-workers, Jeff Lowe. It's not important. I expected the show to be like a wildlife series, and I didn't expect to be like this. It's such a crazy show. The people who made it was really smart. They know how to grab the attention of the audience. Also, the reason we love it, because we see these kinds of people in a real life situation. It could be our neighbor, it could be our friends, and it could be us. So the lesson for this, humans are egocentric. And the show tells us that, if you don't stop this, this will go further, like what Joe Exotic is experiencing right now. I do feel sad for the tigers. At the end of the show, there was a quote. It says here that 5,000 to 10,000 tigers living in the US, but there are only 4,000 tigers in the wild. That's kind of sad actually, but it's a reality check. From the beginning, Joe had good intentions, which I also believe, but he got consumed with money, fame, and stuff like that. Drugs also. I never expected this show to be really crazy, but I kind of enjoyed it because of the drama and stuff like that. So thumbs up for this show, and that's it for today, guys. And I hope you stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, lock the doors, because even though we have this corona crisis, there's still crazy people going around, And don't forget to subscribe, follow me below the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, yeah. And if you have any suggestions, any topic, I would gladly to read your comments about it, because I'm still planning what is my next step, what is my next videos. Just write it down below and I'll research it. I really love doing this shit actually, even though it's sometimes tiring and really stressful, but I love doing it. So just type it ahead, guys. Let's end this. So stay safe and goodbye.